Hello, and welcome to Travel Stories Unpacked, the travel podcast where we talk about all things from the silly to the serious and everywhere in between. I am your host, Ashley Newton, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with us. We really appreciate it, and I am so excited to unpack this topic because it is all about what I think this podcast is, which is the fun and excitement of travel. And that means that we are unpacking leaving the country for the first time. So, of course, I have a wonderful guest for this. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Sami Najjar.
Hello, I'm very excited.
Yeah, Sami. So, Sami, I would say you're new to international travel. Do you feel like that's accurate?
Yeah, I don't think I've traveled very much before October, or no, before 2023. I didn't travel much.
Okay,
outside of the country.
And to provide some context for our listeners here, Sami and I both work for a KHM travel group.
Yes.
So did you do a lot of traveling before you started to work in the travel industry?
No. The most I've ever traveled was a cruise. That's the furthest I've traveled, and then just in the country, like Michigan, North Carolina, which is pretty little because we're in Ohio. It's like 2-hour drive up to Michigan. So
yes, okay, and that's fair. But I think that at least because I really didn't know, and I kind of like to go into these podcasts kind of uninformed sometimes because then I get to learn along with the listeners. Yeah. So I did want to know what was traveling like for you growing up. Like, did you guys do family vacations? I know you said that you went to Michigan, you went to one of the Carolinas, did you say?
Yeah, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
Okay,
so okay. Myrtle Beach.
So that's pretty Ohio, Midwest vacation right there. Yeah. But I've talked to so many people who have never left the state as adults. So when was the first time that you remember even just leaving your home state?
I think the first time I remember was going to New York for Niagara Falls. And it was actually because we were going to a wedding.
Our producer is cackling right now because she has this vendetta against Niagara Falls. And if you haven't checked out the Tourist Traps episode, you can hear her rant all about it in there. But
I was 9 years old, and I thought the falls were amazing, so sorry, Annie. It was it was so cool how the water was just going down and just going right back in your face.
Yeah.
I was, the wind was just blowing it back up, so I don't know.
I always thought Niagara Falls was cool, whatever. But, so you did, I'd say that's a decent amount of traveling, mainly on the East Coast then.
Right, and it wasn't necessarily, we weren't going there for Niagara Falls, we were there for a wedding, and we just made a little trip out of it, and I don't really remember much. I just remember just standing by the railing, and I really only remember that because there's a picture of me standing by the railing by the waterfall, and then
isn't that so funny? My family gets on me for that all the time. They're like, do you actually remember this, or did you just see a picture of you doing it? And I'm like, I don't really know. Especially when you're young like that, and travel memories can kind of blend together. You know, it's all sorts of things.
Right.
But I was challenging myself to remember the first time that I left the country. And I would love to know if this is right. So if you're a family member of mine or a former travel companion and you want to comment and let me know the first time I actually left the country, that would be cool. But I want to say it was Canada, which I think is super common for people that live in the northern U.S. for that to be your first foray out of the country.
Right. I want to go to Canada, actually. I haven't been, but that's on the bucket list.
Oh, come on. You gotta make it. And then you gotta do both sides of Niagara Falls and come back and give us a review.
I heard their side is a lot better. So.
That's what I keep getting told. And there's a lot of other things to do in Canada aside from Niagara Falls. Obviously, I don't know why we keep fixating on that. Maybe we'll unpack that as a destination one day. Who knows?
I want to go to Toronto. Maybe I'll see Drake.
Or maybe not.
Or most likely not. Very likely not.
I think you can tell where I fall on that internet debate. But back to why we're actually here. So when was the first time that you ever left the country? And just sort of walk me through that experience.
So the first time I left the country was on a cruise.
Okay, so how old were you then when you went on your first cruise?
I want to say 12 or 13.
Oh, okay.
And then, it was a cruise. I don't know where we went aside from the Bahamas.
Maybe you were 12.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything about that vacation either, I'm not going to lie. But,
oh, really? Okay.
I remember white sand and clear water, and that's it.
Okay, well, and being, that age, you probably weren't very involved in, having to get yourself prepared, or did you have to do that?
Not really. I mean, the only vacation the earliest vacation that I really, really remember was going to Myrtle Beach because of specific things that happened on that trip that were just random and that I'll just won't forget. But as far as the cruises, I really only remember, I don't remember anything on the actual ship itself. I really only remember the port, and it was just, I walking on that boardwalk and then the clear water and white sand. That's literally it.
That's so interesting
Yeah.
because I feel like, especially at that age, you would be like really into the stuff that you can do on board. So it's funny that that's not what stands out to you all these years later, like looking back.
I remember another cruise a little better when I was like 15 or 16. And that's because I was a little older, so I was a little more involved in that one. But that one was to Bermuda. And I remember that one because I thought we were going through the Bermuda Triangle. And I thought it was game over. And I will tell you, there was literally one day on the way to Bermuda and one day back. It was a little rainy and it was a little shaky. So I think we nicked a corner of that triangle. So
I did think the Bermuda Triangle was going to be a much bigger problem when I was little. I was like, how are we not addressing this? Like, this is a huge issue.
Yeah, where are all these people going?
Yeah, it was like, this is plaguing our society. Can't we do something about it?
Yeah.
So do you remember if you had to get a passport for your first cruise?
No, actually, I only got a passport like last year.
Okay.
The first time I got a passport.
Because I have never done it, but it is my understanding that you can cruise with like just a birth certificate with some, and I think even that's like cruise line by cruise line or maybe sailing by sailing. So like, do not hold me like accountable. Like, just a disclaimer, right? Like, we call your travel agent.
Yes, please do.
But that's something that I find a little bit intimidating if you're thinking about leaving the country for the first time, is even just trying to figure out what documents do I need, like how do I get where I need to go and get back home. So like, I remember when I first got my first passport and I just felt so cool. Like, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, and like it just felt so official. And like, it was the kid one, so like they look the same, but it's just a matter of when they expire that's different, I think. But it was like a really exciting part of preparing to travel for me, was getting to do that.
And I was 22 when I got my first passport, and I was just as excited. I was like, Mama, look what I got.
Yeah, no, it really is fun. But I will say now that I had a passport, and then I got another passport, and I just recently had to get my passport renewed. And getting your passport renewed does not feel like real life. Like, the process for that is so crazy because you literally just mail in your old passport with like a check or a money order and just like pray that they send you a new one. And like, it was so stressful. I was like, it is 2024. How is this the process for getting a new passport? Like, it was just very stress inducing for me. And that was already being somebody who had done some international travel. So like, I just think having to go through all of that would make me pretty nervous. But what was going through your mind? Like, since you were traveling with your family, did you just feel confident that it was all going to work out, or were you going through some like nerves?
I was just like, I'm in the car ride. My parents got everything. I am just going to play basketball on the top of the cruise, and that's it. And, I was just more. I didn't really have to consider any of that stuff. I mean, maybe packing, just making sure I had everything I needed, as far as like clothes wise and everything. But other than that, it was really just all my parents, because they were very like on it. Like, they surprised us for the cruise, like, because our holiday is called Eid. So on Eid, instead of getting us gifts, they got a bunch of balloons, and the balloons each had a little note in there, like a little paper folded up. And then my mom was recording, and she had us all pop our balloons, and it said one word on each one, and it was like, we're going on a cruise. I have 5 siblings, so.
Shut up. That's so fun. Oh my gosh, I would love a surprise like that. Especially with a cruise at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yes,
she's like,
please. No gifts this year, sorry, but we're going on a cruise, so it was worth it.
No, that's awesome. I'm all about experience. I mean, I like gifts too. Just give me whatever you got, and I'm just going to happily accept it.
Exactly.
So then, what was it like the first time you left the country sort of on your own as an adult without the family planning aspect?
Yeah, so the first time I left completely on my own was our trip to Jamaica.
Yes.
And that was in October of 2023. Or September.
September, yeah. But what blew my mind about this is, so this was a work trip, and some of us were able to go down all together, like at once.
Right.
But Sammy, you weren't able to. I believe you had a wedding or something.
Yeah.
So then your first time sort of flying into a foreign country and you're 100% alone. So
Yeah.
like, what was that like for you?
It was, so coming off the wedding, so our weddings, Middle Eastern weddings are very, especially when it's like your very close relative, like you're there all night. Like I didn't leave there until like 1, 2 in the morning, the venue.
Yeah.
And then I got home, I didn't even go to sleep. I'm still like exhausted, can't feel my feet, can't feel my legs. I finished packing up, and then my mom's like, I don't want to wait another 2 hours because that's when the airport opens up. She's like, no, I don't want to wait, so I'm just going to take you now. And I was like, great. So, because she wanted to go to sleep, she had a long weekend, and so, I was all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so she took me, and then she dropped me off, and I was there, and all by myself. I was like trying to stay awake the whole time.
Wait, so was that your first time flying?
No, so I haven't flown very often. The first time I flew was in 2021.
Okay.
And then I think I've been on a plane a total of like 7 times.
Okay. So still kind of like, I don't know, were you worried about that? Like just being in the airport all by yourself, like finding your gate? And
I was at my gate like 3 hours early. Like
yes!
I had like another flight left before me, and I was in the same gate as them. So no, I was very early to all the gates, and then it was a connecting flight to Baltimore. So the flight from Cleveland to Baltimore wasn't that far, but I think I slept a total of like 20 minutes on the plane.
Yeah.
I was just too anxious. I couldn't sleep. And then...
Even though you haven't slept since the wedding. So
since the day before the wedding. So,
oh my gosh.
Because our weddings are 2-day events.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's the henna, and it's called the henna, and then the wedding. So the henna was that Saturday, and then Sunday was the wedding. The henna lasts just as long as the wedding, 1, 2 in the morning, and then the wedding starts up the next day around... The activity started around 3 p.m. So it was from 3, basically 12 hours, 3 to 3.
Gotcha.
I was just occupied with wedding stuff. And then Cleveland Airport, then we got to Baltimore, I got to Baltimore. And it was my first time in Baltimore, and they're known for like crabs stuff. So, which I didn't know that.
Sure, yeah.
Until I got there, and they had a bunch of crab restaurants in the airport, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love crabs. And then I think I had this very outlandish meal that I probably shouldn't have ordered this much food. I think I got like crab soup, and then like crab cakes, and then like a crab pizza.
You just ordered the whole menu.
I was like, give me this, and this, and I didn't even finish it all. And like, it's not like I could take the food with me, so I had to.
You can though. You can take it on the plane.
Really? Well, like through Jamaica though, I didn't know if I could take it through customs. So
no, they're not gonna let you take like your bag of soup.
Yeah, and I had that strong smell, so I wasn't gonna take it on the airplane.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah.
That Old Bay seasoning. So I think the restaurant was actually called like Old Bay. So like it was like they're heavy on that spice.
I've spent a lot of time at the Baltimore airport.
Oh, really?
Not even gonna act like I haven't. And like, it's a pretty good airport as far as they go. Like, it's fine. I got a seafood pizza last time. Also, way too much food.
Yeah,
it was delicious.
I don't know why I thought it was gonna be like a small personal pizza. It was like a whole pizza for a whole family. And I was like, why did I order this? And then, so I ended up just not finishing the food. I had a good chunk. I can eat, so I had a good chunk of it. Then I found my gate, and then I was so scared I was going to fall asleep and miss when my letter got called up to get in line.
Yeah.
I was literally sitting there like dozing off, like catching myself, and like people are looking at me like I'm like, are you okay? I'm like, oh yeah, I just haven't slept in 48 hours, and I'm good.
Well, and did you have your luggage with you, or did you check a bag?
I believe I had a checked bag. Yeah, I had a checked bag.
Okay.
I had a checked bag, so I wasn't carrying anything. I just had my backpack and like a fanny pack, something just to hold my phone, and wallet, and all that.
Because like I will always avoid checking a bag if I can.
Yeah.
But sure. I could see it being appealing if you are in the airport all by yourself, because then it's like, okay, you gotta drag your suitcase with you into the bathroom, then you gotta find, like, there is nothing worse than trying to find a place for your suitcase at like the bar inside of the airport, because it's like, oh, so sorry. Yeah. And of course you cannot leave your luggage unattended for a second. You can't ask somebody you don't know to watch it. So it's like, if it's with you, it's with you.
Right.
So that may have been a good move in the end.
Well, I was just going, I don't even know everything that I packed. I was like, I was just going with the flow. I was just trying to stay awake.
It was just a fever dream for you at that point.
Literally, it wasn't like, just the most random things kept happening. On the plane from Baltimore to Jamaica, I like fell asleep, and then I woke up like in a shock. Like, you know how like you fall in your sleep and then you wake up, and then like I was in the middle seat, so the two people next to me are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I feel like, whoa, what did you dream about? I'm like, stop talking to me. Like,
I think that's really
right
common though when you fall asleep in a place that you're not used to or
Yeah.
whatever, because it's like your body is just like, where am I? Or at least like I feel like that's what happens to me.
And I don't like falling asleep on the planes because I'm always afraid I'm gonna fall asleep with my head back and then like my mouth is gonna just like be open and then like you know that embarrassing sleep stains that
No, it's real. I just try to give people a little bit of grace. It's like you're doing the best you can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But okay, so you have gone on this first time flying solo.
Mhm.
Not first time flying, but first time flying solo.
First time flying solo.
And then you arrive in Jamaica. And if I'm correct, this is your first time going to another country that wasn't via cruise.
Yes.
So this would be your first time going through like the full-blown customs and immigration process.
Yeah.
Because that's hold on. I want your opinion of it. Okay, because I've got thoughts. But what did you think your first time doing that in the full-blown process?
I was just following the people in front of me.
A herd mentality.
Yeah, literally just like following them. And then, so we were supposed to record content for work at the time. So like, the steps of, to traveling and stuff. So
yeah.
I was just recording everything. I was in customs recording.
You're not supposed to do that.
I didn't know that until Sarah. I put it in the short video that we made for it, and then Sarah's like, "I think you should take that out. You're not supposed to be recording that."
I'm amazed that you didn't get called
I
out.
I wasn't even hiding it either. I was like, "Hey guys, I'm in customs right now in Jamaica." And
I think they even have signs. That
yeah,
are like,
I saw a sign.
Absolutely no recording.
I thought the sign was like for when you get to the kiosk, like don't record the kiosk. So I was like, oh,
which makes sense.
I'll record everything else. So like. And it was weird because like one of the customs guys, like security guys or whatever, was just standing there like staring at me, and I'm like, is he gonna tackle me or like?
That's so
but
funny.
No, I was very openly recording everything, and
did you even have it on like your gimbal?
No, I had it on my phone.
That'd be hilarious.
I was scared. I don't even know what I did with my gimbal at that time. But yeah, no, I didn't know you weren't supposed to record that. But I mean, I kind of just followed everything, and everything was smoothly until like. So that first part where you go through the kiosk and then you get the printed ticket and then you take it up to the person, that was like simple, I guess.
I struggled so much with that.
I just scanned my passport and like let it print for me. I did not. So I was like, I don't know.
I want to know from our listeners if this is just a Jamaica thing, because this is the only time that I had experienced that. And like I've left the country before, like no big deal. But like it would not recognize my face and like the automatic like ticket thing.
Yeah.
So like it was just a nightmare. And then like other people are having issues, so then people are like trying to help me, but then like I'm not being very helpful because I'm just stressed out and like don't want to lose my group. Yeah. So it sounds like your like whole process was even smoother than mine, which is great.
It was smooth until like you got to that second portion where you had to go find your bag and that big pile of other bags and then get in that other line, and then it was like. Then they yelled at me, like, no phones. I was like, I'm not even recording this time. And I think someone recorded something on her phone, and then they went up to her and made her, like, delete the video. And I was like, they're serious over here. They had some dogs out there, and I was like, why is this dog smelling right now? I don't have anything. I thought it was the Old Bay from Baltimore. It was just smelling the seasoning.
The hardest part for me with airport security dogs is just remembering that they're at work. Like, this is a working dog, and I'm not allowed to, like, pet and play with it and distract it.
Yeah. And, like... I was also scared because every time I've flown, I'm always stopped. Always stopped. Like, they always stop me, check my bags, and I don't know. They're always stopping me. So I was scared like they're gonna question me some more there. And I think I got stopped in Baltimore, or in Cleveland actually. They started like going through my backpack and everything, and I was scared they're gonna do the same in Jamaica when I got there, but. They just asked me why I'm here, like what I'm doing here and stuff. I got through that, and then I still had no service the entire time. So like I couldn't contact you guys, and I was like, I hope they're taking me to the right place. And then I'm sending messages on WhatsApp, nothing is going through, and I'm like, I hope I'm actually in Jamaica right now. Like maybe they're gonna take me to the right place.
Yeah.
And it ended up being okay. It was just like, it was very scary because I had no contact with the outside world for like 12 hours. It felt like that's how long it felt like. So. But after that, it was okay. I got to the resort, and then I think I don't think I even slept. I think I was.
You didn't.
I think I went right into the action. So it really was a very long fever dream, like a 3-day long fever dream.
Well, I gotta say, I was really impressed just at how you carried yourself throughout all of that. As we talked about on this podcast before, I'm not very good at solo travel, or at least just the idea makes me just nervous, right? Yeah. So the fact that you handled all of that on top of like no sleep, and it was like, you're still sort of new to travel, never traveled in that way.
Yeah.
So like just huge props to you for going through all that and doing it in such, in my mind, professional manner, because by the time you showed up, you're ready to work.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't like we had to, like, talk you out of a nervous breakdown or anything. Like, you were good,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I was just chilling. I was just like, let's get going, let's get it rolling, and that's what we did, I guess. It was worth it, I think. I would do it again.
So I would like to ask some questions about just, like, I don't know what stood out to you being in another country for the first time, but I don't know if you had enough time to really experience that because we
Yeah.
were, you know, working,
Right.
getting content.
Right.
But was there anything that you were like, we are definitely not in the States anymore?
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I mean, the food was very different. The food was a lot better there. I really missed the food.
Well, and it was your first time at an all-inclusive,
Yeah,
too?
oh, I could not stop eating.
Okay, because I have this memory of us in this restaurant, and it was like, I think the first dinner that you had been there.
Oh, yeah.
And you were trying to decide between, like, this dinner or that dinner, and I was like, just get both. And you're like, can you do that? I was like, yeah, it's all-inclusive. Just, like, get whatever you want. And you were like, shut up, that's crazy. And you got,
Yeah.
like, 4 things.
Yeah, I got 4 dinners, 3 appetizers, 2 desserts.
The food
Finished
was
none of it.
really good, though.
It was amazing. And I vividly remember going to the speakeasy after and just laying down like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten all that food.
I have a video of that, actually.
Yeah. It was worth it.
The speakeasy was fun.
It was like so many colors and it was like dark. I was like, should I fall asleep? I was in a food coma at the time, so all I could think of was like the food. So I was, again, food coma plus a fever dream. It was like, I was on another planet. So
Yeah. Well, having left the country then, doing the cruise route and now, you know, just flying direct, which one do you think you would do for like personal travel moving forward?
So it's weird. It's different because with Jamaica, it's not only just flying there. Then you have to drive in 2 hours. To
Not
get to-
necessarily, but for the region we were in,
Yeah,
yes.
right. So that was my only experience, was having to drive 2 hours. So it was like, I wouldn't do that if I had to do that long drive. I would rather go by cruise. But without that drive, I would go by plane because it's not like you're only there for a day like you are with a cruise. Like you get to spend the whole time there and experience as many things as possible. Like we flew to Mexico a few months ago, and that was very, very easy going, and we didn't have to drive 2 hours from the airport to the region that we're staying in, so it was a lot smoother for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
My last time in Mexico
Yeah. Sorry, I
was
brought up-
not so smooth.
I brought up the trigger word. It was also Cancun. I'm sorry.
But it was like, again, it was nobody's fault. We had a bunch of camera equipment. The average traveler is not going to have to deal with what we had to deal with in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But it still just made me sort of yearn for the ease of cruising, where I was like, you just kind of float around and you
Yeah.
like your customs are just different and it's all like mitigated for ease because you have
Yeah.
all of these people doing it at once. And I've come to find that like super appealing. But the one thing that is really grinding my gears with travel, whether it's with cruise or the last time we went to Jamaica or the last time we went to Mexico, is nobody's stamping my dang passport.
Yeah.
Nobody's
I was
stamping
like,
it.
what the hell? I'm actually, speaking of hell, my first stamp in my passport is actually hell. I went to hell and
Oh.
somewhere. I went to hell. I I forget where it is. It's hell.
I don't know.
It's
Let us
hell.
know.
That's a good hell. I
Yeah, but
guess.
it like really bums me out, and I get that it's all because of like the facial recognition stuff, and they're giving you like other ways, and they give you these little tickets. But I'm
Yeah.
like, this is so stupid. I have pages and pages in this passport,
Right.
and they're all blank, and it just makes me so
Right.
sad. And I will say this too: if you are one of those people like me that like feels like you're missing out on something because you're not getting a passport stamp, do not do any of the novelty stamps. There will be places, especially like landmarky type places,
Uh-huh.
that'll have like souvenir passport stamps. If you want to do that, get it on anything but your actual passport because it can invalidate your passport. So,
Yeah, so I totally got my health stamp from someplace. I said, well, not someplace. It was like part of the trip.
do you think it's not real?
I don't know.
But they let you back into the U.S. just after your trip to
yeah,
Mexico,
well, like
right?
they put it on like some. They didn't. The thing that bothers me is they just put it on a random page. Like they didn't bother going.
Oh,
to the
that's
first page.
always been that way. They just slap and go
I'm like,
for sure.
I want to keep it all together. Like I want to build.
Yeah,
up the
they
pages
don't
and
care about your preference.
Yeah, so
at
I
all.
don't know. I don't even know if they really fully went through my passport to find it, but I think they said it was like real too, though.
That's
so.
interesting. And
Yeah.
honestly, this might not be fact checked enough. So what I just said about the novelty stamp, let me know if that's legit because I heard it and I accepted it as fact because it seemed so
Yeah.
logical to me.
Right.
But I will say, I actually like don't know if I fact checked that, so I might be spreading fake news. Let me know.
Yes. And TSA government, if you're watching this, I think it is real. My passport is valid. So just want to put that out there.
That's just perfect. All right, so I do want to know, now that you're getting more seasoned into your international travels, it sounds like you've done Mexico, Jamaica, so like Caribbean vibes
Right,
mostly.
yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
I want to go to the Middle East for sure. My grandpa, he actually just flew back to Ramallah in Palestine, West Bank. So he's there currently, and there was an opportunity to go on this like tour to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. It was August 6th to 10th. I couldn't make it because of a wedding. So I really, really wanted to go there just because my grandpa, he's been there working really hard to make it a situation where that we're able to go there and travel with him. So every summer he's like, this is the summer, you guys are going to come, you guys are going to come. And then something always happens where we end up not being able to go.
Yeah.
But I really, really, really want to go there. And just to see how he grew up and like, you know, he actually just got back into his childhood home, I believe. So I want to be able to see it and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Every time I FaceTime him, he's like, look, this is my car, and it's like a 2003 Ford. And I'm like, we have those here too, don't worry.
Aw, that's sweet though. You're
But
just
yeah,
like...
no, he gets so happy whenever I call him. I just called him the other day, and he's like, we're going to Tel Aviv. I'm like, oh, what are you doing there? He's like, we're going to the disco. I'm like, they don't call it the disco anymore, and also I don't think they have that there. And he's like, don't tell your grandma. I'm like, she's right here. And he's like, oh, are you sure? Are you serious? She's right there. She heard me. I'm like, no, she's not here. So, but I'm actually named after him. So Sami. So we're Sami squared whenever we're together.
Oh, I love that.
But yeah, I really want to go there. I want to go to Dubai. Dubai is on the bucket list for sure. I also want to go to Europe. I don't know necessarily where. Just anywhere. Greece, Paris. I want to go.
Just spin a wheel,
Yeah,
and
just-
wherever it lands, that's
exactly.
where you'll go.
Yes.
Yeah, so you definitely seem to have gotten like the travel bug, and
Yeah.
now you're just ready to
Yeah,
explore.
for sure.
Is there any advice that you'd want to impart on somebody who has, you know, coming from a similar situation as you, where you would mainly like traveled around your local regions and are just now getting into maybe your first international trip or planning it? Any advice that you'd have for them?
Make sure your passport doesn't expire within 6 months. I learned that. Make sure if you don't have a passport, don't try to get it a month before you travel. I was very fearful because that's what I had to do for when I traveled. I was very scared I was not going to get it in time, but I was willing to drive to Buffalo, to Columbus, wherever I had to go, to Michigan to get it, but it ended up coming on time. And it's weird because I applied for my passport, and then my siblings applied like 2 weeks later, and they got theirs faster than I did. And I was like,
Did you all expedite?
yeah.
Did you all pay for first class mail?
I think. I don't know. I did it.
Those were my only two guesses.
I did it at the post office, so I was cool.
Yeah.
Like they hooked it up for me. I don't know, but yeah. Make sure you have your passport in time. Pack a little early. Don't pack last second. I kind of just like building up to the trip. I'm like, okay, I know I need this, and this. I'll do it later. And then, like,
You're stressing me out, dude. That is not how you pack.
yes, do not do what I do, please. I recommend packing a few days early at least. But yeah, I guess that's really it. And just make sure you have all your travel documents.
Yes, I will add one final tip, which is use a travel agent.
Yes.
Yes, travel
Good one.
confidently your first time out of the country. Find a travel agent,
Use a
and
travel
trust me,
agent.
you will just not regret it, I'm sure.
I 100% agree. 'Cause I haven't booked any of my own travel, so
Yeah.
I don't know how, and I don't want to know how. So travel agents, use it.
It's an important life skill for sure,
Exactly.
but if you can use a travel agent, why not? Why not?
Exactly.
All right. Well, Sami, thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your experience with just venturing out and what it was like for you to travel internationally. I think it's really interesting and hopefully inspiring to anybody that is considering that for the first time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. And part 2 coming whenever. I don't know. I'm down for part 2 though.
Yeah. So if you have any questions or you want to share what it was like your first time leaving the country, we would absolutely love to hear from you. So please drop it in the comments or share your story anywhere on social media using the hashtag TravelStoriesUnpacked. And we're going to keep bringing you new travel topics to unpack on Fridays, so be sure to keep tuning in. And this podcast is brought to you by KHM Travel Group, a leading host agency for independent travel agents. Go to khmtravel.com to learn more.